Hello, thank you for joining us tonight.
On the programme this evening.
30 years in jail for the man who tried to murder his wife by setting her house on fire.
Talking to someone who understands, the GP clinic where the menopause champion is making a massive difference.
Lest we forget the Falklands, we meet Colin, the former major who went on to have a minor part in Love Actually.
The local football team that's a who's who of past Premier League players.
And after a mild start to November, there's a change ahead in our weather. I'll have all the details later on in the forecast.
So first tonight, the violent husband who's starting a 30-year jail sentence after being found guilty of trying to kill his wife by setting her house on fire while she was asleep.
Nicholas Martin ignored a court order to stay away from his wife Emma after previously attacking her. She was seriously injured escaping from the fire at a home in Salford and said she sometimes wishes she died that night.
Our reporter Tim Scott is at Manchester's Minchell Street Crown Court tonight. Tim, the judge had some very harsh words for Martin as he sent him down.
Yes, Rob, sentencing Nicholas Martin to 30 years in jail for attempted murder and assault. Judge Maurice Green told him the evidence, I am satisfied, shows that this was a wicked, pre-planned and premeditated attack carried out at a time when the victim was asleep and therefore most vulnerable. The victim in this case was Nicholas Martin's ex-partner Emma Martin. In 2021, Nicholas Martin attacked her during a holiday in Scotland in an attack described as vicious and sustained. The couple did reconcile, but after she continued to suffer flashbacks because of the attack, Emma Martin eventually plucked up the courage to go to police. Martin was arrested and placed on very strict bail conditions to live in Leicester and not to go anywhere near Emma Martin. But in October last year, he turned up at her house in Eccles. He poured petrol through the letterbox and set the house on fire. Emma Martin woke up to a house full of smoke and she was forced to jump through a first-floor window, injuring her ankles and her back seriously in that fall that she had from the house. Martin was later arrested at a hotel in Windermere where police found a petrol can in his room.
And Tim, Emma Martin was in court today, wasn't she, to see justice done?
Yes, Katie, she read out, she was there to see Martin jailed and she read out a victim impact statement. She said, Martin's vile and monstrous actions have utterly devastated and decimated my life through his abuse of me during our relationship. During my recovery, there were times during this period when I wished I had died in the fire, when I saw the pain and anxiety on the faces of my family members. But thanks to their resilience, love and courage, I somehow managed to keep moving forward and push through the darkest days. Now, after that sentence of 30 years, 2/3 of which Nicholas Martin will have to spend in jail, his barrister said that Nicholas Martin is aware he may not live to be released. Greater Manchester Police have thanked Emma Martin for her courage in coming forward in this case, and they have reiterated their commitment to protecting victims of domestic abuse. Katie, Rob.
Tim, with those powerful words from Emma and from the judge, thank you very much indeed.
Well, next tonight to the GP practice in Bury that's helping hundreds of women navigate the menopause.
Ribblesdale Medical Practice in Bury set up its dedicated menopause service in 2023 after women who worked there noticed a clear need for more tailored support for menopausal women, but without putting more pressure on already stretched GPs.
Well, the practice has its own menopause champion, and the women who are being supported there say it's life-changing.
Zoe Muldoon has more.
And what prompted you to go on HRT in the first place?
Well, I had the hot flushes.
77-year-old Muriel is having a checkup at her GP practice with Jane. But Jane isn't a nurse or clinician. She's a menopause champion, part of a unique team at Ribblesdale Medical Practice in Bury.
It helps you a lot, doesn't it, the HRT?
Oh, yes.
Muriel's been on HRT for over 25 years, so the checkups with the menopause team here are crucial.
Women are the people that go through it. And let's face it, they understand how you feel and men can't because they haven't been through it. So, yeah, it's good to have somebody to speak up and reassure other women, you know, that it's okay.
The service was set up after the staff here noticed a desperate need for one-to-one personalised support for menopausal women, but without piling more pressure on GPs. Jane's a care coordinator, but trained to be a menopause champion after experiencing what she describes as a menopause nightmare.
The doctor at A&E told me he was going to get my GP to refer me to psychiatry. So then I thought I was going mad. Went to see my own GP and I knew him, so he laughed and said, "Oh, do you want some HRT?" And I was like, "What?" I was 44, but I'd been suffering since 36, so it was a long time to suffer. And they say I've made them feel so much better just after the first phone call, because they know there's light at the end of the tunnel and they're not going to feel like this forever.
How are you getting on?
Very well, yeah.
Going to do your height, my love.
Charisse has come in for her HRT review with nurse Karen. She finally feels listened to thanks to this team, but knows many other women who haven't had the same positive experience.
I feel very lucky, but these support sessions that I've attended, I've seen the other end, and it's heartbreaking to see these women. They break down in tears. The surgeries are not providing what these women need. And when I say about what I've got, they're like, wow.
You would say that this has changed your life, really, then, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. If it wasn't for where I started, I don't know what would have happened, because honestly, the loneliness, the confusion, just not knowing what was going on.
The government recently announced that menopause questions will be included in health checks for the first time, but Karen says it needs to go further.
What happens when somebody ticks that menopause box? What happens to them then? Do they just tick the menopause box and go away because that's the health check done? Or is the follow-up, is there a unique service, which is what we do have here?
Menopause is different for every woman and can be brutal. The team here hope that in time, every GP practice will have a menopause champion so that no one has to cope alone. Zoe Muldoon, ITV News, Bury.
Well, joining us now is a very familiar face, GP Dr. Helen Wall. You're a menopause champion on social media. You know, you do loads of posts about it and you get lots of reaction with women. What do you make of the dedicated clinic in Zoe's piece?
It's great, isn't it? I think anything that can help women in perimenopause and menopause feel supported, get the help they need, is absolutely fantastic in my eyes. You know, there's 30 million women in the UK struggling with perimenopause or going through perimenopause and menopause. I think the difficulty is that we keep hearing from the government, you know, it's in the Women's Health Strategy in 2022, it's now been put on the NHS health checks for GPs to do. The difficulty is, where's the action behind that? Because actually, you know, we just keep adding things on to general practice, but it's a really complex area, menopause, if it's done properly. You know, it is really specialist, and we need to acknowledge that and make sure we've got the services for these women to access.
Complex and then some, because as we heard in Zoe's report, as people watching will know from loved ones, friends themselves, there are so many symptoms.
Yes.
Lots of people don't actually realise they're going through it, and there's this misconception that it's just women in their 40s and 50s. Yeah,
and it's no coincidence, in my opinion, that the highest female suicide rate is in the age group 45 to 54 years in this country. You know, it's really, really important that we don't forget these women. I think the difficulty is that, you know, I'm a registered specialist in menopause, and I had to take time out of practice. I had to take annual leave. I had to put my own funding into being trained in that. And, you know, I love dealing with women in perimenopause and menopause. It's so rewarding. But the difficulty is I can't do that as a job in GP in 10, 15 minutes. It takes time. If you do it properly, to give a proper assessment and management plan to a lady and to really support that lady through that journey, it takes time. And GPs don't have that time or resource to do that on a day-to-day basis. So I think keep labelling it as a GP's job is really difficult. I think they should have basic understanding. I think we should be able to do the basics of it, absolutely. We certainly should not be dismissing these women or not listening or hearing women. But to put it solely on their shoulders, I think is missing a trick. And I think the other thing that I just wanted to really get across here, you know, I hear a lot from people who say, well, women have always gone through menopause. What's the big deal now? Why are we so bothered? You know, why are we making this hype about it? The fact is that we are in a totally different space now as women than we ever were in days gone by. You know, we are functioning as 50% of society. We're not sitting at home having babies and waiting to die. We are in leadership roles. We are earning money, you know, we're paying the bills, we're putting in 50-50 most of the time, or even more than 50% of you know, day-to-day life. And we're trying to run a home, and now we're trying to deal with perimenopause and menopause. And the effects of that on women's symptoms, not just physical symptoms, but mental health, is huge.
And so obviously the clinic in Zoe's piece, essentially that wouldn't work, you don't think, because GPs like yourself just don't have the time or the resources or the money?
It clearly works for them, and I think it's a great model, and I'm not taking anything away from that. I think to try and replicate that at every single practice is going to take resource, workforce and funding, and we're not seeing that yet from the government. We're seeing lots of words in strategies and in NHS health check tick boxes, but we're not seeing that commitment to putting funding where it needs to be to make sure that menopause specialists like myself can do my day-to-day GP job, but then go off and do a menopause clinic for NHS patients. Most of the specialist menopause clinics in this country are private because they're just not funded.
So if we can't do that at every single GP surgery, what's your advice to people sat watching this tonight going, I need help, I need advice, I need to know what to do about this?
Yeah, well, I think there's lots of great resources, support resources out there online. I know that doesn't go anywhere near what people need. They need management, they need treatment. I think the best thing to do is try and speak to your GP practice and ask if there's a GP in that practice that does have a special interest, because although time will be short, at least they're hitting the ground running with that knowledge. And I think going in there armed with information, researching yourself, going in, if you have to, write it down, a list of your symptoms, where you're at, what you think's going on, and fight for yourself. And I know we shouldn't have to say that in 2025 to women, but women have to fight for themselves.
Really great advice. Dr. Helen Moore, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a look at some more of the day's news now. And a coroner's issued a warning about home births after the death of a mother and her newborn daughter. Jennifer Cahill, who was 34, died at North Manchester General Hospital last year, shortly after giving birth to her second child, Agnes, at their home in Prestwich. Agnes died a few days later at the same hospital. North Manchester coroner Joanne Kersley said there was no national guidance on home births and no guidance on staffing, training and experience for midwives providing specialist care.
Waste officials in Merseyside are warning the public not to fall for rogue firms offering to take rubbish away for very little money. Council staff in Sefton are working 7 days a week to clear illegally dumped rubbish at an estimated cost to the taxpayer of £350,000 a year. 7 out of 10 councils in England say fly tipping's a major problem. Officials warn anyone wanting to get rid of waste needs to hire a licensed company.
Now listen, if somebody's offering £20 or £30 a service for £20 or £30 to take away your rubbish, they are not licensed, they're not legitimate, they will be rogue. They might turn up, they might put stuff in the back of a van, but believe me, they're going to go around the corner and dump that rubbish. And then that person, the person whose rubbish it is, they will be responsible, and we will come knocking on their door and they will be issued with a hefty fine.
Today marks 100 years since the bells of Manchester Cathedral were cast. To celebrate the centenary, a fundraising campaign called A Chime for Manchester is aiming to raise £600,000. The money will go towards completely refurbishing the bell tower.
We rang the bells when the Queen died, and we rang the toll for those who were killed in the terrible attack down at the arena in 2017. So the bells are here in good times and in bad.
Let's have a look at what's to come in the ITV National News at 6:30. Here's Gamal.
Coming up, the BBC in crisis. The chair of the board insists there is no institutional bias, but apologises for how a documentary about Donald Trump was edited. The US president threatens legal action over the programme, which led to the dramatic resignations of the Director General and the news boss. A warning not to use unauthorised waste disposal services who then dump rubbish illegally. And we'll reveal which stars will be heading into the I'm a Celebrity jungle with Anton Deck. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
We were wondering where he'd gone. There he is, in London. OK, now in the run-up to Remembrance Day, tomorrow we've got 2 special reports on tonight's programme for you.
Yeah, we're going back to the Falklands War in 1982 and Major Colin Cool from Preston, who fought in the South Atlantic.
Yeah, and a surprising turn of events led the former soldier to rub shoulders with Hollywood stars, as Paul Crone reports.
In the heat of the battle for Mount Tumbledown in the Falklands War in 1982 was Colin Cool from Preston, fighting with the Scots Guards.
Soon after came the 2nd Battalion of the Scots Guards, with their own particular musical accompaniment.
Colin had boarded the QE2, converted into a troop ship for the long journey to the South Atlantic as part of the British Task Force.
We did a lot of training on board, actually, fitness training and shooting and signals training and first aid and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that our skills were 100% all the way down. But yeah, it was a good atmosphere, yeah.
Once on the Falklands, it wasn't long before Colin was in action.
The Argentinian airplanes had come down the valley and bombed Sir Galahad and Sir Tristan. So we thought it was going to be all over, well I did especially, thought the war was going to be finished quickly. So I wanted to fire my rifle in anger. So that was the first time we did anything. So we fired at the airplanes, and that was because we didn't think it would last any longer than that.
As the war progressed, the final hurdle was to take Mount Tumbledown, the last occupied position before the capital, Port Stanley, and the possibility of having to kill someone becomes very real.
He's trying to kill me, so I killed them. I was quicker, better. So that was just... You don't ever worry about you personally. You always worry either about your men, or the only thing that worried me was not doing my job. That was it.
Initially deployed to create a diversion on the mountain, all went well until the platoon's return when they walked straight into a minefield.
The guys at the front, I was in the last people to go through. Some of the guys at the very front walked through the minefields. The guys in the centre were unlucky.
Colin returned safely to base. The Argentinians surrendered and his war had ended.
Gentlemen, I've just heard that the white flag is flying over Stanley.
What British troops did after the Falklands War was as varied as each man. Colin Cool became, amongst other things, a film extra. And to prove it, here he is, standing behind Hollywood star Hugh Grant in the film Love Actually, playing the Prime Minister's bodyguard.
When the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even.
We did it in 2 takes. His expression is the first time he'd heard me sing.
Away from the bright lights of Hollywood, Colin Cool says it's always important to wear a poppy.
We wear a poppy to be thankful for the guys that didn't come back. We remember them, and that's what the Remembrance Sunday is all about. It's not war thing, it's not celebrating war, it's not a celebration, it's to remember those who have fallen.
Paul Crone, ITV News, Preston.
Yeah, thanks so much to Colin for sharing his memories with us, and we'll have another special remembrance report tomorrow.
Time for sport, and have Manchester City ended Liverpool's title defence? And David, what a way for Pep Guardiola to celebrate his 1000th game as a manager.
Yeah, Pep couldn't be happier with the gift his players got him for reaching that milestone. City's emphatic win over the reigning Premier League champions is a real boost to their title hopes, a real blow to Liverpool's.
I said to the players, guys, don't do it because yesterday Arsenal didn't win. We had to do it to believe ourselves. We play against the champions in England, the last ones. Give me that incredible present, to win the most important opponent that we face in that our time here, 10 years.
For me, that was a wrong decision that this goal was not allowed. I will not say that because of that we've lost the game, because after 1-1, if City just kept on playing like they did, then we would have struggled in the second half as well. Result after result after result before we can even think about that.
Well, Everton go into the international break off the back of a first win in 4 games. They beat Fulham 2-0 at home. Incredibly, David Moyes' side had 3 goals disallowed for offside in that one. Well, elsewhere, Parker says Burnley missed a big opportunity as they were beaten 3-2 by West Ham. They're 17th, just one place above the Hammers on goal difference. In the Championship, Preston remain 4th after a 1-1 draw away at fellow high flyers Millwall. Blackburn lost, so moving on to League One, where Bolton are up to 3rd after a 4-0 win at home over Port Vale. Blackpool's winning start to life under Ian Evatt continued as they beat Cardiff 3-0. Wigan drew 1-1 at Exeter, while Stockport remained top despite losing at home to Luton. In League Two, Crewe beat Shrewsbury 3-1. And Oldham picked up a first league win in 6 as they won 1-0 at Harrogate. And there were draws for Accrington, Barrow, Salford, while Tranmere and Fleetwood both lost. On to the Women's Super League next, where Manchester City are now the leaders. They beat Everton 2-1 at Goodison to make it 7 wins in a row. Elsewhere, Liverpool were denied their first win of the season after Brighton scored in the 93rd minute to make it 1-1. However, that is the Reds' first point of the season. Manchester United lost to Aston Villa. In rugby union sales, Luke Cowan-Dickey scored his second try in as many games as England beat Fiji in the latest autumn international. Well, the forward once again powered over to score the first try of the game as they won 38-18 at Twickenham. Next up, it's New Zealand. While in rugby league, Sean Wayne insists he's the right man to lead England into next year's World Cup. Well, despite his team suffering another defeat to Australia, the Aussies won 30 points to 8 at Headingley to wrap up a 3-0 Ashes series whitewash. Well, next tonight to the over-35s football team that's tearing up the Cheshire Vets League Premier Division thanks largely, well, to their recent big-name signings. 9 former Premier League players are currently on Wythenshawe's books, creating a Sunday League dream team. Chris Hall has been to find out why.
Around 8 miles south of Old Trafford and the Etihad lies one of football's most intimidating arenas. Fortress Hollyhedge Park is the Sunday League ground with Premier League players.
I have a friend who's been playing for years with the Wythenshawe Vets, and he just invited me down in pre-season to see if I fancied a bit of a run around. From then I was just hooked in, and then game by game I just invited 1 or 2 of my friends down.
Those friends include Liverpool and England legend Emile Heskey and Jolyon Lescott, a Premier League winner with Manchester City. The squad's combined transfer fees top £123 million. Now the players have to pay £15 for the chance to play.
Yeah, they do, yeah. Some of the lads give them a little bit of stick for being late as well, so it's, and they love it, it's great.
They're just normal lads, really. As long as they track back and everything, that's all we need. Don't be lazy, that's all we say to them.
They've still got that will to win, and that's something they've done at the highest level.
Something their Cheshire Vets League opponents were about to find out. Today's team sheet included Wigan's World Cup star Maynor Figueroa, Newcastle legend Papi Cisse, and England international Danny Drinkwater. While these are special moments for Wythenshawe, spare a thought for Liverpool South, who are taking on a squad that between them boasts 222 Premier League goals and 325 international caps. In some ways, this isn't fair, is it?
I know, I am mindful of that, honestly, I really am. I know they must be thinking, God, what are we doing out here this Sunday morning chasing these guys around, but ideally it would be nice if something today could be a bit of a change, like we go down 1 or 2 goals.
Of course, come kick-off, that sentiment was replaced by top-flight ruthlessness. His 2-goal tally was matched by ex-Burnley winger George Boyd, to the delight of the starstruck fans.
Grandson plays for Wythenshawe amateurs, talking about Stephen Ireland and how when he saw him he went, do you know what, Grandad, he's all right still, isn't he? I went, you should have seen him 20 years ago.
Have they still got it, or have they let it go now?
Some of them still haven't let it go. Still got it. I think
the legs have gone a bit.
The legs have gone a little bit.
And what's the most surreal moment you've seen?
Papi Cisse scoring 6 goals the other week.
Wythenshawe's wonders were happy to settle for a mere 13-0 win, with Cisse scoring 7, and a successful debut for Drinkwater, who just 9 years ago was lifting the Premier League trophy.
Grew up 5 minutes away, got friends in Wythenshawe, and I live 5 minutes away now, so location's perfect. Exercise, it's been around that team kind of environment again. That was good, yeah, really enjoyed it.
Cold?
Yeah, that would be nice. You'd have to come in disguise maybe, but I'm getting a lot of contact off people who are interested in trying to join in, so, you know, hopefully I can see kind of some nice big names coming down and a few surprises would be nice.
That's probably not what their league rivals will want to hear, as a squad with 15 professional trophies spies silverware again. Chris Hall, ITV News, Wythenshawe.
What a team, and it'll come as no surprise. 4 games in, top of the table, goal difference, plus 32.
Wow. Love it. Got no chance of this, like a fantasy league. OK, thanks so much, David. Now for the weather. Here's Joe.
Mum, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. The changeable theme continues for the rest of this week. In general, there will be spells of rain moving up across the UK, and for us in the northwest, temperatures are above average until this weekend, when they dip down to something a little bit more seasonal. It's going to feel chillier, but is in fact not particularly cold at all. Just perhaps some patchy frosts ahead as it settles down to end this week. We can see quite nicely the change in that air mass. We go from the yellows and oranges feeding up from certainly the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, to something just a little colder, pushing in from the north across northern parts of the UK, certainly by Friday and into the weekend. It does mean some chillier conditions both by day and night. Now this evening, no real danger of any frost. After early rain clears, showers will move in for a time over the next few hours. Skies will clear, perhaps down to around 5 or 6 degrees, a few pockets of mist and fog, before the next band of rain moves up from the southwest before dawn. 1 or 2 heavy bursts contained within it by the time we get to tomorrow morning's rush hour. Temperatures will lift slightly and it becomes quite breezy as that rain moves in. The sun's up tomorrow at 7:29 and sets tomorrow afternoon at 4:20. For many of us, tomorrow will be pretty wet out there for a time first thing tomorrow morning. Lots of surface water and spray on the roads through the rush hour. It will clear northwards and eastwards and away. Behind it, a smattering of showers, a few bright spells, pretty breezy conditions, and then another band of cloud and rain will move up from the southwest by tomorrow evening. Ahead of that, 14 Celsius, our top temperature, gradually settling down towards the weekend and turning a bit fresher.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you, Joe. That's Granada Puts this Monday evening. We're back on ITV1 after our late update for News at 10.
Yeah, but for now, from all of us here, have a lovely evening. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.